Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. It's the Monday after a victory, and my oh my, does it feel good? Does it feel good to have a win under our belts? I gotta say, last couple of weeks waking up, feel like I was hungover. Didn't even drink. Feel like I was hungover, but today I woke up and I was like, was I dreaming last night? Did we beat the Saints? Nope, it was reality. And wow, what a game from our guy Daniel Jones. And we're going to talk about him today. Did he look like a franchise quarterback against the Saints? Some might say yes, some might say no, but we got a lot of stats and information to give you guys so that you can make that decision yourself and what we feel is the proper takeaway from this game. Also, a couple shout outs we want to give to specific players and just breaking down this game as a whole. What did the Giants do to really get this win? What did they do differently compared to their first three losses? That they were able to extract a victory against New Orleans at home in a packed stadium, away in the first game at the Superdome since before Hurricane Ida, before last season because of COVID. This is a Giants team that did not go into a game expected to win. In fact, all the analysts, all the professionals expected them to lose. And that's just I expected them to lose too. Most people did, but at the end of the day, if you I guess what we're learning here as Giants fans, if you set your expectation bar low, you can always be surprised. I never want to expect them to win anymore because I feel like I'm going to jinx it. But now expect them to lose and maybe they'll surprise us and the win feels even better. So I hope you guys are enjoying Victory Monday. And
Dude,
Anthony, how you feel
I'm
today?
like over the moon right now. That was an amazing performance yesterday by Daniel Jones, Andrew Thomas, all the guys that we're going to talk about today. An awesome win, much needed win for the Giants and for Giants fans. We absolutely needed that victory. It was a surprising victory. I don't think any of us went into that game thinking that the Giants were going to win, especially not in the fashion that they did, but they pulled it off. They got the W, and it was so fun to watch. It was so exciting to watch. I'm home for the weekend, so I got to watch that with my family, which made it 10 times better for me personally. Hope everybody else watching the game had a similar experience and really enjoyed it because it was really just a phenomenal game. It was a very exciting football game. Like you compare week 3 to week 4, week 3, 17-14, Giants lose on a game-winning field goal. Okay, that sucked. That was a boring game. There was barely any scoring. But this overtime, thrilling, come-from-behind victory by the Giants in week 4, now that was an entertaining matchup. If you are a fan of the Saints or the Giants or any other team, you know that was a good, fun game to watch. It was awesome, and I'm super hyped about it. And super hyped now that the Giants sit here at 1-3. Our division sucks, so we technically do have a chance. We play Dallas next week. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we all felt really down in the dumps after the first 3 weeks of the season, especially after they lost on Eli Day. We all said season over, let's look towards the draft. But the Giants said not just yet. Hold your horses. Let's give us one more chance, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to give them one more chance, see if they can string together some victories and turn this season around. I sure freaking hope so. What a win on Sunday and a great performance by Daniel Jones and the New York Giants.
Yeah, and like you said, it's about consistency. Look, I love a good win. I love a good come from behind win. I love the Giants putting all that heart and effort on the field. You could tell, man, just watching them play, you could tell that Saquon and Daniel Jones and Jabril Peppers, when he cursed in front of everybody because they won the coin toss, you could tell that these guys wanted to win. They wanted it so badly. They were doing whatever it took, putting their bodies on the line. The offense really picked up the defense in this game. The first half defense looked solid. They were getting off the field, doing a good job. But that last play where Taysom Hill had that ridiculous run, breaking 8-9 tackles, went through the whole team, and Leonard Williams walking at the back end of that play, or Joey Jackson not going in to help tackle Taysom Hill, those stood out to me. The offense came out and said, you know what? Defense has picked this up. Last year, pretty much all of last year, Daniel Jones, you could tell he wanted this, man. That when he ran over Grady Jarrett last week against the Falcons, I knew he wanted to win. And this week, man, did they give him the creativity. They gave him the freedom to throw the ball downfield. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to give a good, big, healthy, hearty shout out to left tackle Andrew Thomas and left guard Matt Skura, who came in and actually had a tremendous game in his first ever time playing left guard. I didn't think that was a good idea. Not many did, but he came in there and he played his balls off. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that performance specifically. And hell, man, Andrew Thomas, what a turnaround that guy is having after last year. I want to read you some stats because I was looking it up this morning. Like, this guy he's a different player. When you look at him, his fundamentals, his kick step, everything about him is different. He's a different player. Rob Sale has done a tremendous job with a lackluster talent at multiple positions in the trenches after the injuries and whatnot. Matt Skura is the fourth string left guard. He's not even a string on the left guard spot. He's a third string center on this team behind Nick Gates, Billy Price, and then Skura. He's not even in the left guard conversation. He went out there and put a good performance on the table for them and really helped Andrew Thomas. I mean, he deleted, Anthony said yesterday, he deleted Cam Jordan, who's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, deleted the man. 2020, through 4 games, Andrew Thomas allowed 3 QB hits, 13 hurries, 19 pressures, and 3 sacks. So far, through 4 games this year, 1 quarterback hit, 5 hurries, 6 pressures, and no sacks. No sacks. He has done such a good job turning this thing around. And I know during that last preseason game against the Patriots, he gave up like 3 sacks in the first half. Everybody's going crazy. Everybody's going nuts. And so we find out he was actually sick during that game. He was dealing with some sort of flu symptoms or whatnot. He went out there and still played. That's a tough son of a gun. You know, if you ever had the flu, if you've ever been really sick like that and go out and play a professional sport against guys who are healthy, guys who are huge, like, you know, this is not an easy game to play. And he went out there and really did his best despite his illness. And I think now we're seeing him at a healthy level. His ankle's feeling good. Surgery did a good thing for him, I think. Better coaching. Andrew Thomas, man, he has impressed me beyond my wildest dreams. And it's really helped Daniel Jones settle down in the pocket. If you've noticed, Daniel Jones has had a lot more time in the pocket. This line played their best game of the year against the Saints, and it wasn't even close. And I will tell you what, Daniel Jones, with time in the pocket, is a different quarterback too. He's able to wait for those routes to develop. He's able to wait for his guys to get it over on the crossers, for John Ross to go deep. He has the time to make the throws. And you're seeing with Daniel Jones, when they give him the time, he can make all the throws. You know, he missed 1 deep ball, I think, in the beginning of the game. But then after that, he was lights out, man. That ball to John Ross between those 2 defenders, you know, I mean, it was a perfect placement. It was pinpoint, you know, just absolutely beautiful. Saquon Barkley, 54-yard touchdown in the 4th quarter, absolute pinpoint. The guy can toss the freaking rock. The guy can toss the freaking rock. And they gotta open it up. And this is what Golden Tate said last week. He said they gotta give DJ a little bit more freedom. They did that. They gave him the time in the pocket. They gave him the downfield centric routes. And you see what happens. John Ross, by the way, is going to eat into Darius Slayton's playing time. And that was Kadarius Toney, too. Darius Slayton is about to see his snaps decrease significantly because Kadarius Toney should be on the field for 80+% of snaps, and John Ross should be on there for at least 50%, of Darius Slayton snaps, that is, Anthony. But when you're looking at this offense, how important is Andrew Thomas's development to Daniel Jones's success? Because it's correlated.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas's
so much
success
I can't even
is
begin.
huge for the New York Giants. I mean, this was the 4th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. And let's be honest, last year he didn't play like the 4th overall pick. He did not meet those expectations last season. But this year, oh man, he is meeting those expectations. He looks like the number 4 overall pick, and that's huge for the Giants to feel really confident in a young player like this right now. Very early in his career, they were confident in him last year, but it was a little shaky. He was very inconsistent. He wasn't a perfect player. This year, no, he's not perfect. No one is, but he has looked really freaking good. You have to be super encouraged by his development. I mean, he looks night and day better than he did last year. There were games last year, you know, if you look at him in week 4 of last year to week 4 of this year, it is a humongous difference. I mean, they're not even the same player. They're not even making the same mistakes. They're winning in different ways. I mean, Andrew Thomas is just so improved from where he was last year, and having him being that blindside protector for Daniel Jones sets the Giants up for such great long-term sustainable success. It really does. And even I don't want to get negative, but let's say if something happens, the Giants still bottom out this year, end up with the 1st overall pick somehow, and they go with the quarterback. You still have your franchise left tackle for that quarterback for the next 10 years. That was a really important decision for the Giants last year. They were selecting between tackle or a guy like Isaiah Simmons, a linebacker, a defensive playmaker. They made the right decision in going with an offensive tackle because that's a foundational building block that the Giants can rest their heads upon for the next decade or so. Like, that was so important. Left tackle, one of the most important positions in all of football. And to have a guy like Andrew Thomas in his 2nd year already looking like a stud is super, super encouraging, super exciting even. Like, I'm getting excited just thinking and talking about it, about how good of a left tackle the Giants have right now. The last time we took a left tackle in the 1st round, it was Eric Flowers, and we all know how that turned out. So for the Giants to go from a guy like Eric Flowers as their supposed franchise left tackle to now Andrew Thomas, these 4 games this year from Andrew Thomas are far better than any 4 game stretch that Eric Flowers has had at any point in his career. So don't say I'm getting ahead of myself. Don't say I'm getting too excited. I'm comparing what the Giants used to have to what they have now. What they have now is significantly better than what we've been cursed with in the past. So I'm very excited about that, very happy about it. And I think all of us should be. Andrew Thomas really does look like that franchise left tackle that we dreamed to obtain when we selected him with the 4th overall pick. And for that, I am over the moon happy. He's so important for the Giants' success on offense. And I mean, just the pass protection that you get from him. There's been barely any pressure from the left side of the line thanks to Andrew Thomas. He's a beast, man. He's an absolute beast, a phenomenal talent, and I can't wait to watch him lock down that left tackle position for the next decade or so.
And I'll tell you what, give me a good right tackle, and the Giants have something special there on the line. If Isaiah Wilson ends up becoming that starting right tackle for the future, and I'm not saying he's going to, I'm not saying it'll work out, but if he did, it would be huge. And because Nate Solder didn't play necessarily that great yesterday. Looking at the stats, he gave up a hell of a lot of pressures and hits. So, like, it was Andrew Thomas, man, that really had a great game. Nate Solder didn't doom Daniel Jones by any means, but he didn't play well. So, I will say this, if they do find themselves a right tackle, whether it's Evan Neal out of Alabama next year in the draft, whoever it might be, this line is going to be legit. And they got Saquon for the 5th year, right? They got Saquon for the 5th year, so he's going to be back next season. And if they get that offensive line settled down, they got Shane Lemieux coming back. They got Will Hernandez still. You still got Nick Gates coming back. Hopefully, he left the hospital now. He had 6 surgeries. The guy's been through the gauntlet of surgeries, and now he's hopefully going to make that full recovery. It's not going to be career ending. This line this time next year, could be very good. Could be very good. And if they are, you're going to see Daniel Jones become the quarterback we think he can be, because we saw glimpses of it yesterday against the Saints. We saw a franchise quarterback, right? If he does that every single game, there's no question he's a franchise quarterback. The problem is he doesn't, but it's not because of him all the time. He's been busting his ass, man. That interception in the Hail Mary, I don't even consider that. That's not even factored into my statistical, overview of him. When you're looking at him this season after the Denver game, he's looked great. The problem is Saquon Barkley hasn't been at full health. Kenny Golladay hasn't been at full health. Kadarius Toney's been on the field for less than 40% of snaps the first 3 weeks until last night against the Saints. This team has had some things holding the offense back, and it wasn't Daniel Jones. If they can all come together now, that offensive line takes a big step forward. They're consistent. Saquon Barkley's fully healthy. Kenny Golladay looks sharp as hell. He had 116 yards and 6 receptions. He looked awesome. And Kadarius Toney, who had 78% of offensive snaps, had 6 catches for 74 yards. He looked great too. We got something special here, man. Like they are capable of being a good team. They are capable of putting up points. They are capable of explosive level plays. John Ross, I mean, he looked awesome yesterday. It was his first game back from injury. He's got something. They made a good signing there if he can stay healthy. The problem is he never is able to stay healthy. He needs to keep that hamstring ready to go. He needs to keep that body at 100%, and he can be a real weapon for this team. But Kadarius Toney, man, let's talk about him for a second. Because that kid's ability to stop and go, to change direction, to use that agility to make defenders miss is something like I've never seen before. Like he's the human joystick. Like the guy, I don't understand how his knees can handle such rapid change of direction. I would be shredded to pieces if I could change direction that fast. But what I like to see from him is that skill set is translating to the next level against a really good Saints defense, right? 3rd and 18, he took a bubble screen, or what was it? It was a short route concept. He took that catch and went 18 yards and made 6 guys miss and pushed forward for the first down. He took a slant because he pointed out Malcolm Jenkins waving his arms. He looks at DJ, says, I got a mismatch here. Malcolm Jenkins cannot stop me. And he slants, he outside widens his release, cuts inside on the slant. No way Malcolm Jenkins could even get close to him. And he completely tossed him. I'm not even going to go that route, but he completely destroyed him. And then he bulldozes ahead, puts his head down and puts some effort in there and gets the first down. He's showing me he wants to play football, man. He wants that ball in his hands. And he had a couple drops, he had a couple mistakes, but his strengths and his big plays outweighed the mistakes 10-1. It wasn't even close. You know what I mean? Without him, the Giants lose that game. And that's the difference between having a great player and an okay to average player. The Kadarius Toney was a difference maker in that game. He played 78% of snaps. I think we need to see that increase, Anthony. Seeing him yesterday, how excited are you to see him get more involved in this offense and really hopefully take it to the next level? Because we haven't had a playmaker like this maybe since OBJ, with that just home run hitting ability and just unbelievable, just stop and go and
Yeah, you
just
know that I'm
athleticism
thrilled,
beyond our
Alex. You know that
wildest
I've been
dreams.
thrilled for Kadarius Toney since we drafted him. I've really wanted to see him get more involved with the offense. I've been very vocal about that through the first 3 weeks of the season, especially after week 2. The Giants had a great offensive performance in week 2, but they were missing something. They were missing Kadarius Toney. They barely utilized him. Week 3, they gave him the ball twice on back-to-back plays, then totally just removed him from the playbook. This is a guy that should be getting the ball 5 to 6 times, 7 times a game, in my opinion. He should be touching the ball frequently. And I said that before the Saints game. And I said if he touches the ball that 5, 6 times, the Giants are going to have a great offensive performance because he's going to be that spark plug. He's going to provide what the Giants offense is missing. That run after the catch ability, that explosive ability, good route running. He's a good route runner. He ran some decent routes yesterday. He did have one drop. Okay, he's young. He'll work on that, right? But every time he touched the ball, he made someone miss. He broke a tackle every single time he touched the ball. He is an X factor in the Giants offense, a true weapon, and the Giants need to start utilizing him more. And I think that they've come to that realization now after watching what he did on Sunday. I think they're going to know, yeah, this is a guy that we need to make a focal point of this offense. And I think that they're going to go ahead and do that. He provides a lot to this team. Run after the catch ability, good route running. He really did. He had some plays where he ran some slant routes and just caught the ball and just ran through and kept going. And I was like, wow, that does remind me of Odell Beckham Jr. I haven't seen a Giants receiver run a slant route with that kind of explosion after the catch since Odell. And not to mention the screen pass that he took on a 3rd and 18 and converted for a first down. I mean, who does that? That was insane. That was ridiculous. I haven't seen like any receiver do that. One of a kind player, Kadarius Toney, he really is. He's a human joystick. He catches the ball. You are in danger, defense. As soon as the ball is in his hands, the defense is in danger. He has a chance to take it to the house every single time. It's insanely impressive, and I'm just so excited to see his role expand and just increase with the Giants offense and see him just truly become a focal point and become a player that can just kill defenses and thrash defenses in a multitude of different ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I want to say, who do you think has their snaps decreased because of his emergence? Like it took him 4 weeks, right? It took him 4 weeks to really get him involved and really increase his workload, and they saw the benefits of it. But who's going to have to
Yes, I
take
think
that seat
Darius
now? Do
Slayton
you
is
think it's
going to
Darius
lose
Slayton?
snaps, not even just because of Kadarius Toney's emergence, but also because of John Ross playing as well as he did on Sunday. I think when Darius Slayton, yes, is a good player, and at times he's had some very good games and he's made some great plays, but a lot of that is also just situational. He's put in the position to make these plays, so he has no choice but to make them. But sometimes he doesn't make them. Think week 2 versus Washington. He did drop a big touchdown pass. Exactly, and he's had some plays
As
like
a
that in the
game
past
losing
where some
touchdown.
drops, crucial third down. I know that there was one last season. I don't remember, but there was a crucial third down in the fourth quarter last year. I want to say it was against the Cardinals. He's an all right player, but you have to remember Darius Slayton was a 5th round pick. He has far exceeded the expectations of a 5th round pick, but let's temper our expectations. It's not like he was a 1st round pick like Kadarius Toney is. Kadarius Toney is just going to have certain abilities that a 5th round pick probably isn't because he was a 1st round pick, right? So when you look at Darius Slayton and his body of work so far this season through 3 games, since he, 2 games and a quarter basically, since he got hurt so early on in week 3, I mean, you're not overly impressed with what he's done. You say, okay, he looks like a decent player, but then you turn on the film from week 4 and you watch what Kadarius Toney did, and you say, okay, I am overly impressed by what that player just did. He needs to see the field more. And then you watch what John Ross did, and you said, okay, I am impressed, really impressed with what he did as well. He needs to see the field more. So out of those 3 players, who's going to see the field more? Obviously, the 2 that overly impressed you. The one that hasn't impressed you in such a fashion is going to see their snaps decrease. I think that Darius Slayton is a player that the Giants could actually even consider using as trade bait at this point. He is a good receiver, but he's not a great receiver. But he's also a receiver that is starting to get outplayed by other receivers on the Giants roster. So if these guys are outplaying Darius Slayton, then they deserve to play over Darius Slayton. There is no seniority rule in football. It's the best players get on the football field. That's how it has to be. And right now, the best players on the Giants offense, outside of the main guys, it's Kadarius Toney, John Ross, and then it's Darius Slayton to me. I think Kadarius Toney, John Ross, then Slayton. It's time to see Slayton become wide receiver 5 or 6, maybe even. I don't know. I got to see more Tony and John Ross on the field, though. John Ross provides so much value with that vertical speed, that 4.22 second speed, and then Kadarius Toney provides value in every other facet of the game, vertical, underneath, breaking tackles. He's an explosive piece of dynamite, stick of dynamite out there on the field. And I think that's just something, that X factor, that special skill. Darius Slayton just doesn't have that. So I got to see these other guys on the field more.
I agree. I mean, when you have a guy like John Ross, defenses have to account for him. You know what I mean? They have to know where he is. Is he running a gadget play? Is he running a nine? Is he running a slant? What is he doing? Is he running a stop and go? He's so quick, so agile, so many ways you can use him. Darius Slayton is a one-trick pony, unfortunately. Right? He really is just a go route type of guy. You don't have to really worry about him. You can just play cover three, just play off ball man, and just basically track him the whole way. And you know what he's doing. He's either going to come back or he's going to run. He's going to run straight. You know, he doesn't really do much else than that. So when you're a defensive coordinator, you're looking at him being, all right, like we know how to take him away, but how do you take John Ross away? You know what I mean? Like he can do so many things. What if he goes across the line of scrimmage? He goes on a jet sweep, you know, and you're in man coverage. You have a guy trying to chase him down on the other side of the field. You can do things with John Ross that you just simply can't do with Darius Slayton to confuse defenses. And when you're applying that much pressure with a player, it opens up the running game. It opens up the play action. It opens up Kadarius Toney and Kenny Galladay. You know, these guys are going to benefit from having John Ross on the field. I don't know if they benefit from having Darius Slayton on the field, and that's the unfortunate reality that the offense is now facing. Like, what do you do with him? But I will say this: I want to talk about how the Giants' offense really took that step forward this weekend and really, I guess more or less just overcame their self-inflicted wounds. That's really what it was. Of course, you don't have Sterling Shepard, you don't have Darius Slayton on the field, but how did they compensate? What did they do differently? First and foremost, they really tested the Saints defense downfield. That alone, early and often, they took some deep shots. That alone forced those safeties into the deeper portions, right? It forced them to play a little bit off of coverage, away from the box. Saquon Barkley in the inside zone run is I hate. Like whenever they ran inside zone with him, he doesn't get any yardage, maybe 1-2 yards. I would love to see some more interesting running concepts just outside zone, get on some sweeps maybe, do some more creative stuff with him. But they did do one thing that we've been begging Jason Garrett to do is use him as a receiver. You know, get him out there, split him out wide, do some creative things with him. And he did
I
just that.
did.
And Anthony said it in his Tony's takes,
That's
you put him
something that
out
I do
wide,
have to give myself some
54-yard
really great
touchdown.
credit
That's
for, because
nailed it.
literally the day before on Saturday, I posted a video. I'm sure many of you watched it. And I said the Giants need to start using Saquon Barkley as a receiver more. Remember 2018 versus the Houston Texans, week 3? The Giants were 0-2. Their season looked really grim. They split Saquon Barkley out wide on a crucial, was it third, or I even think it might have been a fourth down. He ran a go route, swim move, got
I
past
remember the
him.
catch too.
Eli Manning put out a good pass. He jumps over a guy and catches the pass on a go route from the outside wide receiver alignment. I was like, where is that? Why haven't they done that since then? They literally have not done that since week 3 of 2018. Why? It's effective. It's Saquon Barkley.
I
Exactly. I
love the
love the
spread.
empty backfield
I love
sets. I
that
like
spread
when they
offense they
spread
were
it
running.
out. Empty is
It was great.
awesome. It
The
really
empty,
does a
so
lot for
nice.
quarterbacks because it stretches out the defense and you can really attack zones, which is exactly what the Giants did there. And I really want to see them utilize that more. Having Saquon Barkley becoming a focal point in the receiving game is going to be huge for the Giants and their offensive success for the rest of the way from this season.
Yeah, you can also do a lot of things when you split him out wide like that. You could run flanker when he's running a drag route across the line of scrimmage, yet and you can clear the middle of the field when you're running the spread offense like that, and you're just pushing those receivers downfield. It forces defense to compensate. You know what I mean? And then it opens up running options for Daniel Jones. Like if he rolls out, if there's not that many guys playing in the box, he can run, and we saw him do that a lot. The Giants don't want to make Daniel Jones run. They don't want to have to make him run because that increases injury, and then if Daniel Jones goes down, the whole offense is now changing. So they want him to be in the pocket. They want him to be throwing as effectively as he did against the Saints for 402 yards and 2 touchdowns. They changed that John Ross fumble back to a touchdown for Daniel Jones. So good for him that he got that extra stat on there because he deserved it. But what we saw from this offense was totally different. Like, I just don't really understand why Jason Garrett has to change it week by week. You know what I mean? Like, why not just run this more explosive offense? I guess they were waiting for John Ross to come back. They were waiting to really apply Kadarius Toney. I don't really know. I'm not in that room. Nobody is except for them. But what they did this past weekend against the Saints, they need to do every week. It's time to open up the offense. It's time to give Daniel Jones the keys to the Cadillac and let him go. You know what I mean? He's been driving a Toyota Camry for the last 2-3 years. So it's time for him to give the keys to the nice Bugatti. Let him take advantage of this offense, all the weapons. But it comes down to the pocket, right? That was the differentiation between this game and the first 3 weeks. The Giants had a clean pocket for Daniel Jones, and when he has a clean pocket, he's a very good quarterback, capable of making any throw. And that's what really was the difference, because he had so much time there. He was waiting for his routes to develop. He had no pressure. I mean, Andrew Thomas was stonewalling Cam Jordan all game. And he had so much time to really get the ball downfield. Will Hernandez had a great game as well. I mean, Kenny Golladay alone looked phenomenal. I mean, he was breaking tackles. He was making big plays. He was getting open in zones. He was hauling in passes, getting first downs. I was really impressed. This whole offense, aside from Evan Ingram with that one bad drop, he had 5 catches on 6 targets. So he didn't play like an awful game, but that one drop ruined a drive for us. You know what I mean? Like that one drop on a 3rd down ruined a drive. We had to punt. So those are the plays you cannot make. The self-inflicted wounds, Evan Ingram does it too often. You know what I mean? I'd rather have Caden Smith in there, but I think Evan Ingram, at least if you're going to use him as a decoy. Don't even throw the ball to the guy. He had that one nice catch at the end of the game, so I'll give him credit there. But at the end of the day, like he doesn't do enough for this offense to justify him being on the field all the time. When you have weapons like Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney healthy, Evan Ingram kind of becomes obsolete. You don't really need him. You can use Caden Smith and Kyle Rudolph in that way. By the way, Kyle Rudolph might be the slowest person that's ever walked the earth. They ran a tight end screen with him yesterday. I know you remember it. I think I counted like 10 seconds before he caught the ball, turned upfield, and like made it 4 yards. I was like, holy crap, this guy is slow. Why use him in that way? Why not use, I guess, Evan Ingram or even Caden Smith? Like Kyle Rudolph definitely has lost a step. Like he does not look like he's that athletic anymore, if he ever
Yeah, no, he
was.
looked like he had a ball and chain wrapped around his ankle on that play. He was rather slow. I understand he's coming off of a foot surgery and he's maybe not completely healthy from that. Regardless, why the heck would the Giants ever call that play to Kyle Rudolph? That's beyond me. But I don't want to be negative because the Giants just won a football game, right? So I don't want to get into the negatives. There are negatives, right? There are things that we can criticize with this team. It wasn't perfect yesterday. Okay, it did go into overtime. It's not like we blew the Saints out, right? So as we get later in the week, we'll probably dive into some of the negatives and kind of be more objective. But right now, what I see is a great quarterback. Okay, that's my number one thing that I want to focus on is the fact that Daniel Jones did look like a franchise quarterback yesterday, and he really has looked like that since week 2. And I'm going to throw out some stats that are going to really put things into perspective for you. In week 1, Daniel Jones threw 2 deep passes. In week 2, he threw 3. In week 3, he threw 2. So that's 7 in 3 games. Yesterday, he threw 5. He threw 5 total deep passes in just that one game, which is huge. That's way more than he has in any of the other games. And what did that lead to? Well, on those 5 passing attempts, he gained 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's huge for the Giants offense. They're finally realizing, hey guys, Daniel Jones, great deep ball passer. Let's let him throw the ball deep. Let's increase his attempts of 20 plus yards and let him sling the rock downfield and make some freaking plays. And that's what they finally let him do. And he did it. I've been saying that probably for the last, 6 months, Alex. Let Daniel Jones throw the ball deep. He will make you feel good about that. He will definitely prove me right when he does that. And finally today or yesterday, the Giants let him throw the ball deep. And I was completely right. And everybody else listening to this that shared the sentiment in the comment section, you guys were right too. Just give Daniel Jones an opportunity to throw the ball downfield. Let Danny dime, and he will. He will complete those passes, and he will look like a great quarterback. And yesterday, like I said, he looked like a franchise quarterback. He looked like a monster on that field. It was a phenomenal performance, and I feel so much more confident going forward with him than I have in the past. I mean, no matter what happens, from here on out, if Daniel Jones continues to play this way for the rest of the season, he is our franchise quarterback. He played that good yesterday. He played that good in week 2. This is not his first great performance of the season, and that's why I'm so excited about it. Because last year he had a really good performance. We're like, oh, okay, great. Maybe he's taking the next step. Then he followed that up with a not so good performance. And we're like, okay, we'll see if he can balance those two out. Well, this year, it's been a great performance, a good performance, and then another great performance. So that 3 game stretch is better than any 3 game stretch in Daniel Jones's career thus far. And if he can continue that into a 4, 5, 6 game stretch, then we know what we really have in Daniel Jones, and it is a good quarterback. So let's be really cautiously optimistic. I know I got really excited yesterday. I was tweeting out and I was screaming on the live stream, "This is a franchise quarterback. He's our franchise quarterback." Okay, maybe not. I know I got a little ahead of myself. I was very, very excited. The Giants won a game. Come on. It's been so long. You can't blame me. But looking into the future, if he continues to play this way, how he played yesterday, because yesterday he played like a franchise quarterback. If he continues doing that, yes, I do think by the year's end, he will establish himself as our franchise quarterback. So, very, very optimistic at this point in the season for Daniel Jones specifically, not necessarily for the team as a whole, but honestly, sometimes it's more important to be optimistic and get good play from your young quarterback than it is to be optimistic and get good play from your entire football team. The young quarterback is so important in the quarterback position, most important position in sports, and to have a good young quarterback to build around is of the utmost importance. So that looks like what we might be getting with Daniel Jones, and that's really, really exciting for me. So I'm thrilled over his performance yesterday. I think that he had a one for the ages almost. That was a stellar performance by Daniel Jones, probably the best game of his career, and I'm hoping that he can continue to build on that and truly establish himself by year's end as our franchise quarterback.
I mean, the kid's been working his ass off, man. What else can you say? All offseason, he was throwing, working on his pocket presence, working on his ball security. He's fumbled once this year. You know what I mean? He looks like a different player too. His movement in the pocket is head and shoulders better than what it was last year. His ability to feel pressure, make moves, go off on the run if he needs to, pick up yards with his legs. I mean, the Giants are watching their quarterback take that year 3 step right now. And I think, what does that mean for the franchise? Best case scenario, Daniel Jones works out. You know what I mean? That's the best case scenario. Why? Because now you have two first round picks next year that you can go out and get your right tackle, get your interior offensive lineman, go get a pass rusher, go get another, I don't know, another defensive piece or another offensive piece. You can do whatever you got to do with those draft picks. The Giants also have second round picks too. They have a ton of capital. You know what I mean? They're not going to have a lot of money, but they have a lot of draft picks to solve positions. And they can trade away a couple players if they need to find draft picks. We haven't even seen Aaron Robinson and Ellerson Smith yet, so we don't know what they're going to offer this team. And I will say, Rodarius Williams getting some reps here and there, making a name for himself as a 6th-round pick. The Giants have a lot of talent. It was always about execution and play calling, and it was always about the head coach making the right decisions. And Joe Judge, good job saving all your timeouts this time around. I really like to see it. He figured out that was a mistake, and I'll tell you what it was. Like he knew he had to be better with the clock management, and he was a lot better with it this time around. Now he didn't call to go for it on a couple 4th downs there. And he ended up being right with the last one. So kudos to him for making that decision. Ended up panning out. Of course, some people might say maybe it was better off to be aggressive in the first place than punt it away. They could have won anyway, but who knows? They got to win. That's all that matters. So that was a good decision on his part there. So I think for the most part, they made all the right decisions. The defense still needs to get more pressure on the quarterback. I mean, they didn't pick up a sack at all yesterday, so that was kind of disappointing. The coverage, was spotty at times. They let that one guy, I think it was Deontay Harris, get free in the for a long pass. That luckily Leonard Williams was held. That was a changing point in the game. The next play was a Taysom Hill interception. So considering what the defense really did, the offense picked them up big time, Anthony. The defense needs to play better. The pass rush needs to be better. The secondary needs to be better. The linebackers, Blake Martinez not being in there is a huge loss for this team. Maybe the Giants decide, you know what, let's package a couple guys together and trade for a defensive player. Who knows, if whether it's Evan Ingram and I don't think Sterling Shepard's on his way. I think he's going to be here, but maybe Evan Ingram, maybe Darius Slayton, maybe Jabril Peppers. Who knows? Let's see what they're going to do here to, because they definitely need to pick up a couple pieces or at least get more out of their defense right now, Anthony. But any last thoughts on this team? Any last thoughts as we head into next Sunday versus a really, really, really strong Dallas team right now? Their defense is on fire. Trayvon Diggs had 2 interceptions last week. He's been an absolute monster at cornerback. Their offense is unstoppable. You can't stop their offense. How do we beat this team? We're going to have to
Yeah,
go
listen, I
punch for
said it
punch
yesterday on
offensively,
the live
essentially. That's
stream,
the
and
only
I'm
way.
going to say it again. The way you beat this team, the way you beat a good offense is with good offense. The Giants aren't going to win by playing good defense in this game because even when you play good defense against this team, there's only so much you can do because their offense is that freaking good. The Dallas Cowboys are that good offensively. So the Giants are going to have to match that. They're going to have to boss up on offense, have another performance like they just did on Sunday against the Saints, and maybe somewhat even better than that. If they can have an offensive performance like that or even better, yeah, they can win this game, but it's going to take good offense beating a good offense. And that's really the game plan for the Giants. They're going to have to come out swinging, make explosive plays, hit on your deep shots, connect on deep balls downfield, make some freaking plays. It's going to be Daniel Jones versus the Dallas Cowboys defense. If Daniel Jones can have another performance like he did last week against Dallas, then we can win. It's really up to Daniel Jones and this offense. What can they do against that team? And that's really going to be the game plan. In my opinion, it's going to be good offense beats good offense. That's literally it. Whoever plays better and just scores more points. Giants can't punt in this game, basically. You can't punt. You're going to have to go for it on fourth a couple of times because you have to go down there and you have to convert your drives into touchdowns versus the Dallas Cowboys because you know that they're going to go down there and they're going to get some freaking touchdowns. So that's the game plan for the Giants. I'm sure we're going to talk about that plenty throughout the week, but that's going to be my stance on it. Giants aren't winning this game unless their offense lights up the scoreboard, and that's what they're going to have to do on Sunday.
Yep, completely agree, guys. But I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Giants. We'll get the game film to you next, maybe tomorrow or the day after. We'll start to break some stuff down. I know Anthony wants to take a look at the receivers. We're going to take a look at some other guys, Daniel Jones specifically, maybe that offensive line. Really excited to take a look at that from the angles that will give us a good idea of really how they perform. But make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Enjoy this win, my friends, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow on Tuesday.